Hello, this is Anna with Cottage on Oak, and today we are going to be making some chocolate chip cookies using einkorn flour. We're going to brown some butter and sprinkle them with some Celtic sea salt. So I hope you enjoy this recipe. Okay, so to start off, we are going to turn the gas on our oven and light it. This usually takes a few minutes. Sometimes, because my oven's old, I have to... There it goes. So you heard it light, and we're going to turn it on low. Let that warm up, and then we'll turn the temperature up to 375. While the oven is heating up, let's start melting our butter, because once the butter is done browning, we do have to let it cool for 10 minutes. And I'm going to be using the Kerrygold, an entire block of the Kerrygold Irish butter. I have used other butters for this recipe, and it does not work. This is the best butter for chocolate chip cookies. While the butter is browning, let's get started on our flour mixture. You can hear that bubbling of the butter. It sounds so good, but I wanted to share with you, while that bubbles, all the ingredients. So we have organic vanilla extract, Celtic sea salt, pink Himalayan salt, light brown sugar, farm fresh eggs, Ghirardelli chocolate chips, einkorn flour, fresh einkorn grain flour, some organic cane sugar, and pure baking soda. So we're going to add in 2 cups of jovial flour. This bag is not big enough for me to stick my measuring cup in, so I'm just going to stick it in the bowl. Just kind of pour the flour into the measuring cup. That's a lot. We'll do a little less in this cup. One thing for certain is that when it comes to following a recipe, I am the worst at following recipes. And then I'm going to take this einkorn grain that I milled for the cottage porch last week. Nobody bought it. So let's open this up and use some of this in our cookie recipe, just for some added nutrition and added flavor. You know, you can tell when you're using bleached, plain, no offense, but great value flour in your baked goods, because there's just no flavor there. But with this flour, there is so much flavor, and you can tell it's not stark white. It's like a buttery yellow with some browns in there from the grain that was milled. So nutritionally heavy and healthy. So now's a good time to check on the butter. Look at this. You see how it's foaming up to the top? This is how you get that browned buttered flavor. And you can see on the edge here, it's starting to get a little dark, but in the center, it's still nice and light. And you can take a wooden spoon and kind of stir it just to make sure everything's doing okay. And you just want to let it brown for just a few minutes. Well, maybe even less than that. You just got to watch it. I just want you to see in real time. Okay, you see how this is now getting dark in the center, the bubbles, as opposed to the light? Now's a good time to turn that off. And then just let it rest. Now, I have a gas oven, so I don't have to move it off of my burner. But if you have an electric oven, I would definitely take it off the heat. And there you go. You just got to let it rest. You see that dark, rich color? That's where the flavor comes from. So we did 2 cups of einkorn flour. Now we're going to do a teaspoon of, let's see, 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So I'm going to get my teaspoon out here. Here's a half a teaspoon. I was using, I was like, it doesn't matter what kind of baking soda you use, but I've started buying from Azure, and it's a huge bag. Very good quality. I have my recipe written down on this nasty sheet. I need to make a pretty sheet for you all. I just have yet to do that. So now let's add some salt. I'm not going to use the Celtic sea salt for now, because this salt is going into the dough. So I'm going to use my pink Himalayan salt. You can definitely use iodized table salt, whatever you want. The recipe calls for 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. I like to use a lot of salt because that's what helps bring the flavor out. And it helps the dough to have a good flavor. And it also helps to, it just goes well with the chocolate. And then next, it's time to just let this sit. And let's move on to our liquid batch. Once again, we are looking at the butter. Look at how dark and brown that butter is. That is what is going to give the base of the cookie dough such a great flavor, like a caramelized flavor. Now for the unhealthy portion, 1 cup of light brown sugar. I just bought this last night. I am making these cookies to sell on my cottage porch. So usually people eat sugar. When I make my own chocolate chip cookies, which I'll have to do a video recipe on that sometime, I do not use any sugar, no cane sugar, nothing like that. Okay, our butter has cooled long enough. I'm going to take my immersion blender with the whisk attachment and start whisking the butter. And as I'm whisking, I'm going to pour in a cup of brown sugar and then a cup of organic, not a cup, a third a cup of organic cane sugar, and whisk that together. I like to have 2 bowls out when I'm cracking eggs, and for this recipe, you only need 2 eggs. We have backyard chickens, so I will save the shells in a bowl for them. And there we go, 2 eggs. And then I'm going to add in, let me clean my hands off, a splash of organic vanilla extract. And when I say splash, I mean a good little bit, because once again, we want that flavor. We don't want a plain Jane dough. We want a deep, yummy, flavorful dough. Okay, so I got my eggs ready before I put in the sugar. So here we go. Let's start whisking this up. You can see that this was salted dough, or salted butter. You want those bubbles. Look at those bubbles. So let's add in our cup of brown sugar. Let's add in our third cup of cane sugar. I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's all mixed together. Here we go. You can see the sugar granules in there. But this is the texture it should be. And so now we're going to add in the 2 eggs with vanilla. And I'm going to add those in as I'm stirring. Okay, look at this. It's like a caramely syrup. It looks so good. Okay, so our mixture is ready. Look at those bubbles. Look at that color. We're going to pour this straight into the flour. We're just going to stir it together. You know, I should have scraped this out from the pan before I stuck that in the pot, but that's okay. Or in the bowl. Here we go. We just want all of that in here. We want to get it all. Scrape it, scrape it. This is my favorite tool, this little rubber spatula. I think this is Pampered Chef. Some people would call it an MLM. I could care less because their products are so good. I love them. I love when people gift them to me. They are just really good quality. Whoops. So we're going to mix this together. It's a summer day in July, and usually we are dying of humidity and heat. And for some reason, yesterday and today, the weather has been so nice. We've been able to open the curtains, which is unheard of here in the South, in Arkansas. So I am enjoying it. Okay, I want you to see the color and the texture of this dough, because this is helpful. I love when people show me what it's supposed to look like, what the texture is supposed to look like, and the sound. It's just very helpful. So this is the cookie dough base. I'm going to place this cookie dough mixture into the refrigerator to let it chill But let's see if there's any room in here. There we go. Just let that chill. I have skipped that step before, and you can tell. So definitely let it chill. Okay, so our dough is chilled. Here it is. It's a little stiff, as you can see. I did have one request from a customer. It was a friend, and she wants chocolate chip cookies without the chocolate chips. So we are going to scoop her out some plain cookies. I am using this glove because these are going to be sold, and I just want to be respectful and clean and not touch anyone's cookies with my bare hands, even though they are clean, just so everyone feels safe. But I don't know how many to make her. I guess I can make her 4. Now I might put these, after I ball these up, they are still a little squishy, and I don't want them to run everywhere. So I'm going to put these out and maybe pop them in the freezer as well. I'm thinking I should have popped the dough in the freezer, but I wanted to be able to scoop it out nice and easy. So now that we have some cookies, we can pop it in the freezer. Let's get this 4th cookie out here. You can look up cottage porch laws, which is what it's called. I think it's called like cottage shop laws or something in your state. And I live in Arkansas, so the laws are not super strict. Shocker, right? All right, let's pop these into the oven. Into the freezer. Okay, we have the tiniest bit of dough left in here, so I'm going to add some Ghirardelli milk chocolate chips. I like these because they're thick, they're big, and I feel like they're just better quality. They are more expensive, and I'm okay with that. But we're just going to mix this up. You can buy chocolate off Azure. I just have yet to try that. And I guess I need to, like chocolate chips and things, chocolate bars, things like that. So we're just going to mix this up, and then I'm going to move these onto the tray in some balls and pop these in the freezer as well. And I like a lot of chocolate chips. I hate when a cookie has like 5 chocolate chips. Like, give me the chocolate chunks. I want the chocolate chunks, the chewiness, the good dough. Like, I want a good cookie. If I'm going to eat some sugar, might as well make it good. And usually, I can't even eat one of these cookies at a time. I have to, like, take a break, I guess. They're just so good, but they're just so rich. And all right, here's the Celtic sea salt. I bought mine off of Amazon. I am going to use my hands for this, but I just washed them. I like to sprinkle a good amount of sea salt on top. And I might actually squish these cookies down just a little. Just a little. There we go. Just so we can get more salt on the surface of these cookies here. There we go. This is an expensive salt, but my goodness, is it worth it? And it has lasted me so long. We're going to pop these in the oven for 9 minutes. Okay, I just took these out of the oven, and the center looks a little doughy, so I might stick them back in for just a few more minutes. Okay, those look much better. I put them in for 2 minutes longer, and they look beautiful. Okay, let's try a bite of this cookie. I hope you heard that crunch. They're chewy, salty, buttery. Fantastic cookie.